Welcome to WHAQ, a talk show centered around the beauty of queerness and the challenges it brings. Is that how it goes? Welcome to WHAQ, a talk show centered around the beauty of queerness and the challenges it brings, with hosts Pansexual Princess, Get Lizzie with it, she, her, and the sapphic sensation, Games Mistress, Gaymes Mistress. Also, she, her.
Also she, her. Hello, Monty in chat. And hello, Yuffie in chat. I don't know if we said hello to you yet, but thank you for being here. It's going to be a bit of a shorter, low-key episode, but an important one, in part because we want to celebrate all of the, visibility days and awareness days that are under the Pride, the queer umbrella. But especially Pan Pride because of this one. We don't have our flag out. We should have put it on the back wall.
It's true. We've got this little one here.
It's true. We do. And so we thought we'd chat about a little bit about the flag, a little bit about the history, a little bit about the word, and the terms and what they mean, and talk about and actually mention some pan celebrities, because I feel like pansexuality is one of the sexualities that people are more commonly coming out as now.
Yeah, I reckon.
Yeah, so there's lots. The list is long.
A little bit of what it means to me and interpretations of the label, and we also had a little bit of a pre-show chat about it. Hopefully we didn't chat too much about it.
We may actually get into some discourse, which is I don't know. I feel like discourse around pansexuality is a touchy one, so we'll see how it goes.
We'll see. We'll see.
So first, we wanted to just sort of comment on the flag. So as you know, the flag is pink, yellow, and blue. Some call it cyan or bright blue. It is very bubblegum bright colors.
It's like the printer colours.
Yeah, it's like the printer colors. And I think it's also a color scheme that when we talk about things being accidentally queer, the blue, pink, yellow, especially short form for rainbow, when someone makes a 3-stripe rainbow, they make it pink, yellow, and blue.
It is very on trend right now as well. Yeah. Oh, do you think the flag is very me? That's interesting.
And not at all surprising.
No?
No. I think you liked the flag. And that's
Might
part
have
of
been
it.
why I was drawn to the label, maybe.
Yeah, see?
I like the bi flag more now though. But I'm not that fickle.
So, and the flag's been around for about 15 years, or between 10 and 15 years. Started as a Tumblr flag, which isn't surprising necessarily.
What? It started on Tumblr?
Yeah.
What, really?
Yeah.
Can you tell me more? Do you know more? Did you prepare?
Well, I don't know what you're asking. What more do you want to know?
Someone just decided to post this
User
flag.
Jasper V created the flag. At least that's where it's gone back to. Somewhere around 2010 on Tumblr.
Hey, Zigiso.
Yeah, I know. Zigiso, for sure.
Huh. That's interesting. Well, every day's a school day.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So, and there's even dispute about, it's not even 15 years old, but there's dispute about even what it means in some ways.
Yeah.
So for some people interpret it as pink is attraction to women, blue is attraction to men, yellow is attraction to non-binary and fluid folks. Some people believe that pink represents femininity and blue masculinity, and yellow is fluidity. And then there's also this other piece that is about the identity of the person, and so yellow represents trans and gender non-conforming pan people, and pink represents femme and female pan people, and blue represents male and masc pan people.
That's interesting. Hey, Debs, welcome on in.
Hey, Debs.
I'm interested that you started the episode with that, because I thought that maybe some other things that we might discuss would go first. Based on our conversation earlier, I'm surprised that you started with the flag. Hey Lula, welcome in. Because we had a good conversation about the flag.
Yeah, that doesn't mean we can't come back to it.
Okay.
I think that, like...
Well, I didn't know if you wanted to expand on it now, or if you wanted to...
No.
Well, okay. I'm sure we will circle back. Mm-hmm. Back to the flag.
Hey Lula. So it's the bubblegum colored flag, and is arguably one of the brighter flags in the umbrella, in the pantheon of queerness, and is relatively new. And when I say relatively new, a lot of the flags are newer. Like when you look at things like the demi-girl and demi-boy flag, mm-hmm. even some of the gray ace, some of the gray ace family and things like that. Like a lot of them are newer for sure. But I feel like because I'm an older queer person, pansexuality is like a new label, and it's not. Like the pansexual label has been around for about 25 years, but only gained prominence in the last 15 or so. And I think that it was like it's a bit of a product of its time in terms of, in order to have the term pansexual, which is, did you want to give the definition of what pansexuality means to you, since you're pan, and we'll work on that one, then we'll talk about other ones?
So for me, I mean, obviously pan means all. For me, the way I interpret it, the way that I use the label, pansexuality is the attraction to all and any gender. There's not necessarily, or there isn't always a preference for a gender, or a preference for someone with no gender, or a preference for someone with fluid gender. It's just people. Attraction to people.
And so I think that in order for us to get to pansexuality, there had to be other changes within how we understand sexuality, attraction, and gender before we could get to the idea of pansexuality being one that, like, not to say that, like, people haven't talked about those things for ages and ages and ages, because they have, but in popular mainstream things, we can talk about celebrities being like coming out as pansexual. In order for a celebrity to come, a mainstream Hollywood celebrity to come out as pansexual, there needs to be a certain culture happening,
level of understanding amongst the masses.
Yeah, exactly. And so for me, we had to kind of get there. I see that I don't have the spoons to get into the conversation happening in chat, but it's a great one, and I'm not saying don't have it. Have it, but I can't get into it in this moment. So I think that there had to be a certain level of, like, understanding of gender and even gender fluidity and all of those things in order for, and sexual fluidity in order for us to get there. Mm-hmm. And so I think that in some ways, bi was the catch-all term for not gay or straight, or both gay and straight, depending on who you ask. Because, and that's why bi erasure is so common, because it depended on either being both or neither of two other labels that already existed, mm-hmm. rather than being interpreted as a label on its own.
For sure.
At least historically. Not saying that's necessarily true now, but historically. And so for me, pansexuality is like a new sexuality. And I say new not in a, like, this is new and therefore invalid, but in, like, a new, like, in my lifetime, I never heard the word pansexual, and then it became a thing.
Yeah.
And, like, the flag happened, like, I was in my mid-20s. Like, I was closer to 30 than 20 when the flag was made. So, like, it's happened very much in my lifetime.
Mm-hmm. And it certainly wasn't a label that I had ever heard of until I had met you.
Really?
Well, I don't think so, no. Like, again, like, those of you who know us will know the story, and we've spoken about it here a few times, but, like, yeah, I didn't have any idea about labels. I didn't really have any idea about queerness until this one, suggested some labels that might, like, might feel right, and then when I found out about the pansexual label, that kind of clicked for me.
Mm-hmm. And so I think that one of the reasons why there is, like, Mani, you were saying you haven't figured out the bi-pan difference. One of the reasons why there's this, like, group of sexualities in the middle that share definitions and share similarities and stuff is because they grew out of a different understanding of sexuality. So if you look at, like, if I want to say it starts with bisexuality in a way, and that was the idea of multiple attractions.
Mm-hmm.
And within that, lots of things grew out of it because it developed in a very active playing field of figuring out sexuality. So when we talk about queerness, a lot of time when we talk about historical queerness, we talk about someone who is gay or someone who is lesbian, we maybe use that term. And a lot of those people were not those things.
Yeah.
A lot of them were bisexual.
Might have been sapphic.
Yeah. A lot of them, and, like, a number of them even may have been, like, when we talk about split attraction models of things like pansexual versus panromantic, so pansexual being that you are sexually attracted to everyone, panromantic being that you can engage in romantic attraction and relationships with all genders.
Mm-hmm.
And that's true of, like, like homosexual, homo-romantic, etc. Even those ideas were really not ones that we had a lot of words for a very long time, and we lost some of the words that had existed historically. And so we paint everyone who was at all queer with
one or the other, or this newfangled in between.
Yeah, like, but even before there's newfangled in between, there's, like, everyone, like, if anyone had a male lover, like, if a ruling guy, because that was a lot of male rulers, had a male lover, they were gay. And that didn't, or they were pretending not to be gay, as opposed to they enjoyed sex with some genders, love with other, maybe love with none, maybe sex with, maybe, you know what I mean? Like,
mm-hmm.
There was no nuance, and especially through history, it's been lost.
Mm-hmm.
So that is the context that bisexuality grew out of. The term bisexuality grew out of this idea of, no, I'm attracted to both men and women. And it grew out of a time where we didn't talk about any of that. Like, we don't feel like it grew out of, like, we modern times forget that bisexuality was trying to talk about attraction outside of this single sexuality idea, this monosexuality. And so what we're actually talking about is omnisexuality.
Mm-hmm.
And so the group of omnisexualities are things that are attraction to more than one gender, doesn't necessarily mean all. So polysexuality is in there and different things. But the other thing that sort of grew out of this is that a lot of times there was a lot of nuance for bi folks around, like, bisexual is the only term for me, even though I'm a woman, only interested in dating women, but I am okay with having sex with men, and this is not to erase gender fluidity, because we haven't got there yet. So it must be bisexuality, because there was no talk of romantic, like bi-romantic or mono-romantic, but bisexual kind of stuff in popular discussion. And so what grew out of that was like this clunky term of bisexuality. And that doesn't mean that, because I say it's clunky, that it's wrong or anyone can't use it. It means that it was addressing a reality that we no longer see as the reality. So the term pansexuality, for some, is a better term to describe what they feel because bisexuality has a particular history.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but the reason why you don't know the difference between bi and pansexuality, Bonnie, is because it depends on who you talk to.
It depends on who you ask.
And for many people, there's no difference.
Yeah.
And so, and I agree, Monty, completely that sexual attraction often overwrites split attraction model, and people don't really acknowledge that the other ones are just as valid. And this is something that actually really plays into a lot of compet stuff and plays into a lot of people taking a long time to come out and all sorts of things, because anything seen as being okay with sex with anyone, then you can't be ace, and of any type, and being okay with sex of any gender means that you are okay with that and therefore have attraction. And I think like that's part of why it's so complex, and why it feels important to say that it's not just Pansexuality Visibility Day, but also Pan-Romantic Visibility Day. And I think Monty, what you're saying and what I feel as well is that we talk about homosexuality or bisexuality or pansexuality, and that's seen as the catch-all term for, like, Liz being pansexual doesn't necessarily mean that she's pan-romantic. It does, but we couple them together in our understanding, and they're not necessarily the same thing.
Yeah. For whatever reason, maybe just because it's easier for a majority of people to like, hey suds, welcome in. For a majority of people to understand, to relate to, that sex trumps everything else. Like, if you boil it down to like a real simple form.
But right? I think that also has to do with the way the way we've studied sexuality. We've studied sexuality in ways that don't include romantic attraction. Even when we look at a lot of stuff, we actually downplay romantic attraction historically, and talk about it as friendship, as fondness. And so if two women who aren't engaging in sex are like in love with each other, but they're just friends, the things that takes it from friendship, like romanticism is like this namby-pamby thing where it could be this, it could be that. How do we really know what romantic attraction is?
Take it to the next level.
Yeah. And sex is the thing where you're like, this is the thing that distinguishes this relationship from all others is sex.
So Sigiso makes a very good point, saying I feel like it's sort of an outdated term considering how people and their lives and perceptions of gender have evolved over time. So which I agree with, and like we were just saying, like Jem was just saying, it very much depends on who you ask and their interpretation of the label, right? So I liked the label pansexual because of that because of that catch-all, because it doesn't matter to me if you are cis or trans or genderqueer or like non-binary. So that I very much liked that pan catch-all. And for me, and most of you know this about me, I struggle to see nuance a lot of the time. I'm very black and white. For me, that bi was too boxy. And what pops into my mind when I think of bi, I think of two. I think of the binary. I think male. I think female. And that's not it for me, which is why I prefer that, pan as a prefix. Whereas I know that there are people that we're very close to, people in the community who flip, like, they think the opposite. For them, bi is same and different. And, like, they are attracted to genders that are different to their own in addition to ones that are same as their own. So, yeah, it's a bit of a cop-out, isn't it? But it's literally just who you ask and their interpretation on things.
And I think, too, though, that is, like, that there's these discussions with other sexualities that maybe folks don't recognize because they're not part of that group. So I'm just going to touch on this briefly. We're actually going to talk about this in another episode that I have planned, but, like, the term bi-lesbian is one that, like, comes up a lot, and it is, like, fucking throwing a match in a plate of gasoline within the lesbian community, because there is a lot of folks who believe that they are mutually exclusive terms. You cannot be a lesbian and bisexual. I'm not here to talk about that today. I will be here to talk about that in about 2 months. But these discussions, I'm just using this as an example to say that, like, these discussions happen because so many terms have grown out of different histories and have different understandings, that for a lot of people, bisexual meant not gay or straight. And if you take bisexual to mean not gay or straight, then it does include everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that there's also a history of folks who feel more comfortable talking about bisexuality because to them it's about the straddling of both worlds.
Mm-hmm.
It's about being in between gay and straight. And that doesn't actually have to do with same sex,
Gender.
Opposite sex, same gender, opposite gender, two or more, any of that. It has to do with the fact that on one half, if half of the world is straight, and I say, like, not numerically, but if this half of the world is straight and this half of the world is gay, I exist in the middle.
Between the two.
Yes.
Yeah. And to be clear, completely valid. If that's your interpretation of the label, completely valid. But, like, as I just said, in my strange little neurodivergent brain, you know, one word fits the description of how I feel better for me. And it's me that picks the label.
And so, interestingly enough, for me, that is exactly why the label pansexual didn't work for me. So, just a little, you all know my history, but I'm just going to give, like, the briefest amount. Came out as gay, came out as bisexual, but called myself gay as a teenager. Should have listened maybe better, but went on a journey. Was bisexual, was for a brief time pansexual, I called myself, and that's why we'll come back to this. And then I went on to polysexual, and eventually, as I grew older, I believe, like, my belief around my sexuality and how I experienced my sexuality was that for a very long time, I was polysexual and homoromantic. And then the polysexual part of me faded and my sexual attraction to non-women went away. That's my experience of later life lesbianism. That doesn't need to be anyone else's. That's just how I experienced it. However, the reason why pansexuality didn't fit, and I wanted it to, was because it was the idea of being attracted to all genders. And I didn't know all genders. If at that time I had understood pansexuality to be attraction regardless of gender, that may have also been different, because I have always, always, always felt different about femme-presenting folks and non-binary folks and gender-fluid folks as I do towards men. Always. Even when I was identifying and actively in relationships and having sex with people of lots of genders, that was true. So that didn't work either. And that's why I went with polysexual. Because polysexual to me, when I tried to explain it to people, I'd be like, I don't know what all gender presentations there are. So I can't tell you I'm attracted to them, but I can tell you I'm attracted to more than one, and I can tell you I'm really into chicks, and I'm really into like mask women, and I really fucking love drag queens, and here's all the things I'm attracted to, which eventually just turned out to be sapphic as time went on. But there's also been time where I've been very attracted to men, sexually at least. Have I ever like fallen deeply in love with a man? I don't know. That's not the question for today. But pansexuality never worked because in my head I was like, there are infinite genders and I have no idea if I'm attracted to all of them because I know I experience attraction different to different presentations. And it freaked me out, the idea of calling myself pansexual, because I didn't know that was true.
Yeah, that's fair. I like that. I don't know, maybe regardless of gender fits a little bit better. I don't know, like whether rightly or wrongly, or what was playing through my mind when you were speaking then was like, innocent until proven guilty. I like all genders until I find one I don't, and then we'll reassess.
Which is valid and like totally fine, but that's why I think, what we're enacting here is exactly why the labels are great, but still are about individual belief of that label and what it means to you.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think that it's so much about, like, the labels are like guideposts and not boxes.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, if you imagine a giant field...
Guidelines, not rules.
Yeah. And, like, but I just imagine, like, a giant field and it's full of people. And in one vague direction is the lesbians. And in one vague direction are the asexual folks. But there's going to be people who could be in either and wander freely between the two. Cool.
Just people walking around.
And there's going to be people who wander through all of it. And we're not stuck in our little area of the field. But generally speaking, there's a group of us over there and you might fit in there.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
See you on the road.
Yeah.
And
I do think, like, Moni, I agree with you that, like, you might not like one person, but that doesn't mean you might not like another person the same gender. I think that, like, that's true regardless of monosexualities as well. And so for me, it's about, can you generally say you are attracted? And that's one of the things that the Kinsey scale tried to do, right? The Kinsey scale was 1 to 6, homo to hetero, and it was very much like these points in the middle where the exception to the rule, like, are men the exception to the rule? And I remember doing it when I was, like, trying to figure myself out, doing human sexuality courses in university, and I would be like, I can't be gay because sometimes men are the exception to the rule. But for me, men were the exception to the rule, not the rule. My attraction to them.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Hey, Mr. Whittle. Yeah. I don't know. Like, I was just reading Suds's comments about, like, using bisexuality as an umbrella term. Mm-hmm. And, like, different definitions of sexuality. Like, I often hear people, and again, I feel like I have to clarify, your interpretation and your label is yours. Great. Like, fucking cool.
It's one of the reasons I'm sad Amanda's in London, because Amanda identifies as bisexual, and I would love her thoughts on this, just because she... at one point tried to identify as pan. I don't want to tell too much of her story, but, like, and that didn't work for her. She went back to bi. Mm. And so, like, and you know what we're not going to fuck with at all? I don't care what term you're using. None of them are inherently transphobic. So we're not fucking with that at all. So the whole, is bisexual a transphobic term, does not float here. It's not. It's not inherently transphobic. We're not fucking with that. So that's like a non-starter in this discussion, is about whether any term excludes trans people, because it doesn't. Even monosexualities don't exclude trans people, because, for instance, lesbians are attracted to trans women as well, and they are women. So, like, and you don't have to be attracted, like, people are attracted to different characteristics and all sorts of things, but like there aren't sexualities, like people's genders aren't invalidated through this, so we're not playing that game,
Yeah.
just to be clear.
100%. 100%. Let me just grasp onto the wisps of umbrella terms. And I hear people talk about, like, bi plus a lot. I think I've used it for ease.
Do you not like it?
I don't mind it as just an umbrella term. And like Suds touches on it there as well. Used by Suds uses bisexual as an umbrella term because more people are aware of it, but in queer communities prefer deeper and more precise labels. I don't know, it just feels a bit icky to me, like bi plus what? So I mean, like plus what? And I don't know, it just feels odd for me. I don't like it. But has its place. Like, I think that was the situation where I've said, you know, bi plus. It's not what I identify with as every day. But some labels are better in some scenarios, depending on context and who you're talking to and how you feel on that particular day.
And I do think that, like, so I want to touch on two things. One is what Suds is saying about different vocabularies, about cis spaces and queer spaces. And I think that like really feeds into what I was saying before you popped in, Suds, or at least before you were in chat, around how bisexuality grew out of a need to, like, be a term when we didn't have one, but reflected a very different history and a very different, like, current time, basically, when it was happening. And two, I'm really excited about this episode that I have vaguely planned for the winter, because that's when I can imagine I'll have the spoons for it, which is what all of these words are in other languages. Because one of the things that we focus on is in the English language, we use bisexuality, we use pansexuality, and it means this and it means that, and we completely ignore the fact that translations aren't that easy when you're using a lot of Latin terms. And so there's a lot there, and I really want to talk to many people about all of these things, and the imagined time that I can see having the spoons to do this is in the winter, after the wedding.
Not now.
Yeah, after the wedding. Because I think that's interesting. And I think that, like, what Wibble's saying, and Suds is agreeing with, is absolutely right, is that sometimes, because we focus on heterosexual and homosexual as legal terms in many cases, and we focus, like, that bisexual is the, like, shorthand for not either of those or yes, both of those. It's the thing that isn't those other two. Because I think that, like, I think that sometimes people have really transphobic responses to the term pansexual. Because the minute you talk about I don't see gender or I'm attracted to all gender, some people immediately have moments of, and they don't necessarily even mean to be transphobic because they don't think they're being transphobic. What they're thinking is, I don't understand the gender stuff. And that is on the fucking slippery slope to transphobia, let me tell you, and I'm not here to defend it. What I'm saying is that sometimes people get so caught up in the, like, I don't understand gender anymore, that they can't hear what you're saying when you say you're pansexual. Is my sense.
Yeah, which, again, like I keep saying it, I sound like a broken record, which is why, like, that pan piece is, like, does work for me, because well, I mean, depending on who you're speaking to, like, I remember, do I remember, am I making this conversation up? When I came out to my family, and I described myself as pansexual, my mum's like, what's that? And I'm like, wait, it means, you know, all genders. And I think that is both a positive and a negative. It's negative for, like, the reasons that you just touched on there, but also that's what makes it so positive for me. Like, I don't care how you present, and I don't care what's in your pants. If I like you, I like you. Like, and that keeps it quite simple and keeps it quite nice. A nice descriptor for me and how I experience attraction. I was gonna say, yeah.
Yeah, and I just wanted to say that, like, I think sometimes the shorthand of, if you want to use it as shorthand of bisexual, like, I'm not saying do that to avoid the conversation of transness. I'm saying that sometimes we just need to have a moment to, like, move forward, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we can hold, like, I'm not gay, I am, like, you are with a woman, you're not gay.
Mm-hmm.
You're queer, you're pan, but, like, sometimes, like, we experience so much erasure of Liz's sexuality in our relationship. And it's wild to me because I have dated more men than you have.
Yeah, yeah.
I have fucked more men than you have.
Yeah.
And I've been with more people of more genders than you have.
Yeah.
And you get called a lesbian.
Yeah. It's frustrating.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. Is that a conversation for right now?
It doesn't have to be. I'm just thinking of the fact that, like, people really have a hard time seeing you still as pansexual.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're with me.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes it's also sexism. Because I am the more femme one. And you are less femme.
Yeah.
You're a harder femme.
Yeah.
And so I think sometimes they see me as being the femme one, therefore you're attracted to, like, femininity. So you must be a lesbian. Whereas, like, a lot of times what I experience is, like, in my attraction to, like, mask women and stuff like that is, like, why don't you date a guy anyway if you're dating masculinity? Like, not with you,
Yeah.
but, like, with other...
And
yeah.
Fine, if that was a comment
but
at
just,
me.
like, and so I think it's even weirder that, like, anyway... I just have feelings.
Yeah, it's frustrating.
We don't have to have it, but
it happens a lot. It happens from people where it really shouldn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
Quite often, like, people that are close to both of us and know, or at least should know, what our individual sexualities are. Yeah, it's annoying.
And I think that with monogamy, that's one of the struggles around bi erasure and pan erasure. Hi, Cindy.
Hey, Cindy.
And omnisexual erasure is that if you are monogamous or in a monogamous relationship or what appears to be a monogamous relationship, i.e. you aren't openly, actively dating people of multiple genders, your sexuality is somehow reduced to who you are dating.
To that, yeah.
Relationship.
Yeah. Yeah, it would probably be easier for people close to us to remember if we were fucking more people.
Yeah.
Which is kind of like, I don't know, amusing, but sad, but, you know.
Amusing, sad, frustrating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the feelings.
Yeah. But, yeah. I'm trying to think of, like, if I want to just, like, name drop some celebrities, because I do want to have a discussion about the flag and why the flag, the interpretation of what the flag is, and the bi flag angers me.
Let's do it.
Angers me. But I also want to just make sure that we highlight that, like, tons of people have come out as pansexual in the last 10 years. So, which way do you want to go first?
Oi, oi. Let's go flag.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just thought, I don't know, the celebrities might, once you get angry, the celebrities
nice.
might lift it back up again.
It'd be nice to go there, yeah. So, you all know my sexualities, and that journey. I get so angry about the meaning of the bi flag and the pan flag, a lot. really a lot, because they are both flags that are like, this stripe represents who I'm attracted to, and this stripe represents who I'm attracted to, and this stripe represents who I'm attracted to. And they are supposed to all be, they're both supposed to be flags that are representative of folks who are attracted to multiple genders, multiple sexualities. And somehow their flags are about just who they're attracted to, and the stripes don't mean other things. There's no sense of like, you know, like I think the pan flag could be so much more powerful if we talked about it as yellow being the fluid, like yellow represents fluidity, which is something you said earlier. And, or like, you know, I was thinking like 3 different like forms of attraction, like physical attraction, mental attraction, emotional attraction. And those are the 3. And here's the thing. If we're going to talk about attraction to everything and attraction to, or even like some folks see pansexuality as being gender blind, i.e. I don't see gender, I just see people. Which is maybe a discussion for another day.
Yeah, I don't like that either.
Yeah.
That's very much on the same level as, I'm not racist, I'm colourblind. Well, if you're colourblind, then you can't see the struggles that... Anyway,
yeah,
not
but
for me.
Yes, and I hear that, but I think it's different from my perspective, because it is about your attraction to people, and colorblindness is about not seeing a structure. No one who's saying pansexual and I'm gender blind, at least that I know, is saying, and I don't see sexism.
No, but it personally for me could tie into what you were discussing earlier about the exclusion of trans folk in attraction and gender and what. Anyway, carry on with what you were saying.
I don't. Yes, but here's the thing. If you've got a group of people saying I'm attracted to everyone, why do you need fucking stripes on a flag that differentiate between the genders?
Have it one colour. Have it all the colours. Make it a dirty brown.
It just frustrates me. It's a beautiful flag, and I believe a flag should exist because easy visual representation is important. However, why is it that the flag is about gender and segmenting the genders you're attracted to when that is not what you experience? I mean, we also had a gorgeous rainbow flag with 10 stripes swivel. And now we have one with...
What do they all mean?
Oh, I don't know off the top of my head, but there was like a teal and there was a pink and there was both, like there was like a few iterations, and like purple is spirit and red is the environment, and red is for passion, green is the environment. Like there's like meanings to all of the colors on the rainbow flag.
Well, maybe we need to get into that because I don't know what you're like. Like, are we talking like the environment, capital E? What's the environment
green.
Got to do with...
Connection to the world.
With the world, okay.
Connection to the environment.
Like, geography. What's rocks and mud and volcanoes got to do with sex and sexual attraction?
Because the flag isn't about sexual attraction. The flag is about the queer community and how it... Like, what does the spirit have to do? It's about... The purpose of the rainbow flag and the like stripes meaning different things was about how queerness is a part of the entire world that we exist within, and we cannot separate queerness from being intrinsic into how we experience the world.
Yeah, because like what I mean is I didn't know the definition, right? So when you said spirit, for me, in very much in the same way as you were like, why isn't the pan flag emotional attraction? Is spirit you being attracted to someone's spirit? I didn't know that they were...
spirit like religious, metaphysical. So it was like very much about...
Because I didn't know that's how they were segmented.
Yeah, the different colors mean different things. Or did at one point. And it was about how queerness and people are... like how all of these things make up our lives and how we bring queerness to all of them, and also how we see all of these things through our experience of queerness.
And how they link to queerness.
Mm-hmm. And so I just get really upset about the pan flag because it could have so much more meaning, and instead it's about, I mean, masculinity and femininity in the in-between, maybe? Or maybe not. Yeah, like, well, and sometimes one of the things that really upsets me is when people are like, the yellow is for trans people, and I'm like, surely you don't mean that the trans people, that trans women aren't in pink. Surely that's not what you mean, what you're saying right now.
Yikes.
Yeah. And so I just feel like there's like more that could be done there, and with bisexuality I recognize it a little bit more because it is about those two worlds potentially, and so there's like the bigger stripe and the bigger stripe and the thinner one in the middle. Like I see it more, and how the colors like blend together sort of to make that middle color. Like I see it a bit more. It still frustrates me that these two flags are about who we're attracted to and not about deeper things like the community lesbian flag, which is why I love the community lesbian flag, and that there's like deeper things there. Like why is your poor flag just about gender variations?
So, and I may have seen this somewhere. I may be stealing this. Off the top of your head, don't think about it too much.
Yeah.
If you had to design a flag for yourself, what would it be? Also, probably should save this for the episode about flags, but we're doing it.
Why are we doing it right now?
Because I said so.
Okay, off the top of my head.
Yeah.
A flag for me.
Yeah.
But like me personally, or to represent how I experience love and attraction?
Yes.
No, those are mutually exclusive questions.
The latter.
I mean,
we can save the former for the episode on flags.
Okay. So I think for me, I think ultimately the community lesbian flag is probably actually, like, it is about the multiplicity of gender. It is about community. It is about variations within the female and women community. It is trans inclusive. It isn't about, it's about, like, there's elements of it that are about gender presentation, but it's also not the fucking lipstick lesbian flag, which was designed by a transphobe. There's things there. But also, like, I appreciate that it's not all the colors, because I think that I don't experience all the colors. And in the same way that, like, me being like, the term pansexual freaked me out. I know I don't experience all the colors. I know that I've never experienced all the colors. And so for me, there is that understanding that femininity is multiple, that it is femininities, that it is women, that it is groups of women, that it is non-men, that there's room for non-binary folks and gender fluid folks, and obviously trans folks, obviously trans women, maybe not trans masculine folks, for me. So yeah, but I like something that has multiplicity and gradients, because I like that, like, idea of things being mixed and not all of one thing, and it being a bit of both or a bit of multiple things. But at this point in my life, I don't associate so strongly with wanting to have representation bits of everything.
Okay. Thank you.
That's also a tough one for me, because a lot of the symbols that I once held close to myself, I don't anymore. I used to associate very, very strongly with the, like, Venus symbol with the circle and the cross.
Yeah.
I used to associate very strongly with that, because that was like a sign of female power. And over time, it's become an exclusionary symbol.
Yeah.
So I don't vibe with it anymore. But there was a time in my life where it really was a thing for me. It was really powerful for
How
me.
much of a thing was it for you?
It's a thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, but I don't vibe with it anymore. So, in the same way. It's become trans exclusionary, and I don't like that.
We're not about that game.
Yeah. What about you?
So, as mentioned, probably like, hello Amanda, happy Pan Visibility Day.
Hey, Amanda.
I'd probably mix all the colours together. Get a murky brown. Dislike it. So go over it in like a black. Probably chuck like a twister on it. Tornado on it. Just to symbolise...
Can we explain to my Canadian self what you mean when you say a twister or tornado?
A twister or a tornado?
Like a funnel cloud.
Yeah.
Okay.
To symbolise panic. Yeah. Yeah. Not to generalise too much, but I think most of us are what you might call chaos fairies. Or at least my experience of pansexual people and or bi plus people are you know, a bit loose. Not like that. A bit chaotic, yeah. Let's just stick with chaotic. So it'll probably just be black with a twister on it. Yeah.
Interesting.
I thought about that. Anyway, let's move on.
I was just going to ask you what you think of the pan flag.
I like it. I may or may not have decided that I vibed with the pansexual label partly because of the flag. It's very... I think it's very me, as you, Molly said at the top of the episode. It's very bright, it's very vibrant. I like that.
I think that's interesting because while I do understand...
You're a fucking miserable bitch.
How it's bright and vibrant, but that is not at all actually your aesthetic. Like, your aesthetic is... I mean, that fucking mint green color is everywhere in our lives where you touch. And then, like...
You got me on the mint green.
And then, like, deep maroons and oranges and deep colors. And, like, occasionally you'll have some, like, brighter yellow, but you prefer mustard yellow. And so, like, I hear it, but also, like, my experience of your life. Yes, Moni, you are so accurate with that right there. Like, you were so accurate.
It just reminds me of, so we use this app, or we try to use this app. Gem's very good at it. I am very forgetful and, as mentioned, quite chaotic. Use an app called Paired, which is like a relationship app where you answer like pre-populated quiz questions about each other. And there was this question, and I replied that I dress all in black, and she was like, "You only fucking won that round because you said that you wear black, and you fucking don't. All of your colours, all of your clothes are brightly coloured." Like... This should be my flag.
I'm just gonna like haul out. These are just the sweaters that jumpers that she's had as options today. Anyway, I often lose our paired quizzes because Liz forgets who she is while answering the questions.
I live in the moment. What can I say?
Like, the one time we answered questions about what we were going to name our children, and it was like, it was multiple choice, so it was like, are you more likely to pick something of like, this or this? Like, are you more likely to pick classic names or trendy names or whatever? And one of the questions was, what are you most likely to name your children after? And one was family members, one was literature, one was people in my life that have meant something to me or something like that, and one was whatever it was. And Liz was like, literary. I'm more likely to name it after like literary influences. And I lost because I was like, how did you answer that question? Our boy's name is literally your dad's name because you want, and our girl's name is literally your mom's name because you want to name our children after your parents. How did you pick literary characters as being more likely when our plan is literally to name our children after your parents?
We haven't settled on that, though.
Yes, we had. You came to our relationship with the boy name.
We hadn't settled on the girl name.
Okay, but I'm just saying.
Less simmering.
I'm just saying.
I live in the moment. I'm sorry.
So when I answer questions about how well I know her and she answers questions about how well she knows me, she wins because I know myself also. And I lose because she knows me and not her and forgets who she is halfway through.
I don't know who I am. That's what I was crying about earlier. I've got no direction. I don't know where my soul is. Do you want me to cry again?
Oh boy, here we go.
Will that bring the views in?
Anyway.
Chaos Tornado, see? Thanks, Cindy. I designed the perfect flag for me.
You're not fucking kidding. So, pan celebrities. Do you know of any off the top of your head?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know how good much of this. Chaos Tornado should be on a shirt. We should put it in the channel.
One of the WHAQ, we've got a channel in Discord for our WHAQ t-shirt ideas, and I think that's one of them.
Chaos Tornado. What level? Oh, okay, so I know one definite pan celebrity off the top of my head. I don't know how much of a celebrity he is. I don't know how many of our international viewers are going to know who he is, but it is Birmingham born and bred comedian Joe Lycett.
Who is fairly famous in the UK, for sure.
You can be an honorary Chaos Tornado, Cindy, that's fine. I would go as far as saying he's very well known in the UK.
What's the difference between famous and well known?
Oh, I thought you said fairly famous. As in, like, famous-ish.
Oh no, I was trying to say he's quite famous.
Yes, he's quite famous.
Yeah.
But he's famous. He's
Yes.
famous. He's well known.
Yeah.
Joe Lycett, let me type it in chat. I think you might recognise him if you saw him, Bonnie.
Yes, there we go, Wibble.
Yeah, what Wibble said.
And I think that, like, I just learned this today because I thought he was gay.
Why did you think he was gay? Because he talks about bumming men.
Yeah, because I have only ever heard him make sexual comments about men and about him. Like, he's made, like, it's not that he doesn't talk about het sex at all or anything else. Like, but, like, when he talks about him and himself, it's always in relationship to sex with men.
Yeah, he has got a, you probably did see him on Grey and Norman, yeah. He has
a very him face. Like, I don't know who that is, that you're like, oh him, yeah.
Also, fucking does so much for, like, weirdly, if you don't know much about him, you might be like, oh, nice little comedian. He actually had a series on national TV over here for a couple of years, like it was a few seasons long, of him taking on, what's the word I'm looking for? Not social justice. Not social justice, like, consumer rights. He had a consumer right, he's like 34, Money, I think, something like that. He had like a consumer rights show where people would email in and be like, hey, this hotel charged me twice and I found a horse's head in the bed. And he would like, he goes up against like massive corporations. He changed his name to Hugo Boss because Hugo Boss tried to sue a small-time like, really small town brewery for using the word boss in one of their beer names. So he changed his name to Hugo Boss to sue them for copyright infringement instead. Great guy. You might have also heard about him recently with the World Cup in Qatar. He called David Beckham out for being like, hey, you're supposed to be a really great queer ally. What the fuck are you doing in Qatar? And David Beckham didn't respond, so he did the stunt where he threw £10,000 into a shredder. Turns out it was a PR stunt, and he'd already donated the £10,000 to a queer charity. Cool fucking dude. But yeah.
He also, can I also say, like, he recently decided to do his own, like, late night show, like one of those, like, comedian late night shows. And he brought on just great people. Like, they were friends of his and stuff, but he also brought on, like, lots of people of color, lots of, like, he brought on, like, this amazing...
non-binary, black MC.
Like, he just... And he did it in Brum because he really feels like Birmingham doesn't have, like, enough... Like, doesn't get enough credit for what it is. And
it's a
really
fucking cool place.
He really believes in the city. And he centered it there, even though I'm sure he would have had a way easier time making it in London in many ways. And he wanted to have some prize that the audience could get. And the show said, like the network said, no, we don't have the budget for that. So he raffled off one of his own cars.
No, not one of his own cars. His only car. He didn't have multiple cars.
Oh, it's even better than I thought. He gave away his car.
Channel 4 were like, we haven't got a budget for a big prize. And he was like, fuck. Okay, here's my car. And some woman won his car. And the way the woman won his car, he got everyone in the audience to put one of their shoes in a giant tombola machine, and they span the tombola and picked a shoe out of it, and if it was your shoe, you got the opportunity to play the game to win the car.
And she won it.
Wild.
She won it.
Wild. Anyway,
Anyway,
I love Joe Lycett. Love Joe Lycett.
We won't talk about every celebrity that we talk about, like, in such depth, but Joe Lycett is also...
I'm just a big Joe Lycett stan.
And Liz introduced me to him. His
Not
work.
literally.
Yeah. His work. And so, like, there's just, like, a soft spot there as well, because it was one of the first, like, not one of the first British comedians, but one of the, like... Because he's not famous outside of the UK in the same way, it was, like, one of the, like, learning pop culture, British pop culture with Liz things that really, like, meant something to me for sure, because it was this, like, inside to the UK pop culture thing. So he's special to us. And your mum also loves him.
Does she?
Yes.
Oh.
She thinks he's great.
She clearly hasn't watched that much of his comedy because she'd be disgusted.
Yeah, fair.
But yeah,
that's the case with
there is a skit somewhere. He either said it on like a chat show, or in one of his skits. He does say he does talk about being pansexual, and he's always because he says that everyone assumes that he's a little bender and just like fucks men, whatever. Possibly with your mum joke in there or two, like he'll fuck your dad and your mum sort of thing. But yeah, he does mention it. So yeah, Joe likes it.
And, again, just one other thing, which is that, like, it was hilarious recently, because you know that thing where stuff happens and you can't change your name on Twitter anymore? Well, he has this character he plays that's this, like, raging homophobe straight guy.
Right wing Richard Utree.
Yeah.
Straight talking.
Yeah, straight talking with Richard Utree. And he changed his Twitter name to be that persona and then couldn't change it back because of the Twitter stuff. So he was stuck as Richard Utree for days and days. Yeah. Anyway, he's fun.
Yeah. Any more?
Oh, yeah, lots. So...
Ooh, do I know any? I don't think I know anymore. You told me one earlier. the person who plays Stevie in Schitt's Creek.
Emily Hampshire, the actress who plays Stevie in Schitt's Creek, is pansexual.
Nice. Oh! Janelle Monáe.
That's who I was going to go to next, actually. Janelle Monáe is also pansexual, has come out as pan. And I believe Janelle Monáe might be one of the people who came out as bi and then said that pan fits them better. Mm-hmm. Maybe.
That rings a bell. I don't know. But I wonder because they are non-binary. I wonder if that is anything to do with gender. I wonder
their
why.
Own journey.
Yeah, I wonder why they've made that distinction. Interesting. Who else?
Demi Lovato.
Oh.
Yeah. Demi Lovato's pan.
Yeah.
And she has said things like Janelle Monáe Monáe. We're talking about Janelle Monáe.
Janelle Monáe.
Yeah. And Demi Lovato has come out as pansexual and is another one that talks about, like, it's not, like, I like who I like kind of statements. Cara Delevingne is pansexual.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I thought she was bi. Or identified as bi.
No, she identifies as pansexual.
Is that new? Or is that always, like, since she's been queer? Since the world knew she was queer.
She is one of the people who's, like, come out as queer and has basically, like, pansexual's the closest thing to how they experience attraction kind of stuff. So, Cara Delevingne. You know who called themselves technically pansexual, although I believe her identity has shifted? Jojo Siwa. Yeah. So Jojo Siwa has said that she is technically pansexual because that's just how she experiences the world, i.e. what she's referring to is she likes who she likes and that sort of thing. Although she has also at times said that she doesn't tend to be attracted to men. So I think her identity's shifting a little. She's definitely into women.
I think Demi Lovato is still still identifies as some kind of gender non-conforming. I believe, and please feel free to fact check me on this or call me out in chat if I'm incorrect. I believe that they're not using they them pronouns anymore and have gone back to she her, but is still gender non-conforming.
Yeah.
Or at least gender fluid.
Yeah. Or at least I
think totally cis woman.
Yeah, and not totally like conventional, traditional representations of gender.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nico Tortorella, who is a model and actor who I used to really have a thing for.
I don't know who that is.
Identifies as pansexual. I'll show you. Has done like a lot of stuff within the queer community in the US, is American. And like has been on a number of, like, was on Pose, like in Pose and a number of different things, I believe. Was on RuPaul's Drag Race. Maybe was even a judge on Legendary, possibly.
Which we're still not up to date with.
Well, I mean, it's canceled now, so we're...
plenty of time.
Yeah. Who else? There's more. There's more for sure. Miley Cyrus is pansexual. Yep.
See, the issue with this question is not who do I know is pansexual. It's what celebrities do know.
I see. Yeah. Yes, indeed. Miley Cyrus is pansexual, and has been involved with women at least.
Yeah.
And men, and I don't know all of her history actually.
One of the Hemsworth brothers,
who I think was an asshole, to be fair.
Yeah. Potentially, I don't know. I just know he's attractive. I can buy myself flowers.
this isn't what I want.
Chat, do you know any? Any pansexual celebs?
Because I'm missing one, and I am struggling because I really want to remember who it was.
Hey, Thomas.
It was a man. Hey, Alicia.
Oh, did I read your name?
It's artist A.R. Thomas. Alicia.
Oh, okay.
Alicia did the...
I was like, okay, so I did... Right. Hello, sorry. I was like, did I... Hang on, I read that as Thomas, is that wrong? Although, I'm sorry, if she ends up seeing this, I don't care. But I love her to pieces. Megan again got raided one time, we watched the clip earlier when she was streaming, by Hannah Hart, and read the username out as "Oh Shart of Mine."
Oh. Well done. So there's a couple others. There's a couple others that I really want to.
I'm glad everyone else likes sharts as much. Well, not like sharts. Find sharts as funny as I do.
So there was a couple others, and I'd forgotten. And there's one I want to mention in particular, who's Jazz Jennings identifies as pansexual. So Jazz Jennings is, she is now in her 20s. Jazz Jennings became famous as being one of the youngest prominent transgender girls doing the rounds in American television fucking 15, 17 years ago.
Nice.
And her parents helped her through gender affirming care when she was quite young. And she's now in her 20s. And so she was one of the first kids to publicly transition in the spotlight at a young age.
That's cool.
22, yeah. So she was like a kid, like, and I say a kid, like we're talking like 4, 5, 6. And she's written kids books like I Am Jazz, to help kids understand gender better.
That's lovely.
And she's amazing. And it's also worth noting that she's like Latina and a person of color in the US, which is like an added layer of like being public around these things, like an added danger, basically. And she's been really vocal. I don't think she's had a damn day of peace in her life because she's done all of this very publicly. And she's amazing. And she's lovely. And she's beautiful. And she's pansexual.
It sounded like... And if you just want to come through...
Yeah, no. Oh my God, that would be a dream. But yeah, she's amazing. And she identifies as pansexual.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, she was like Wibble, saying, like, Big Time News. Like, she was one of the ones who had, like, a Barbara Walters interview at age 7, being like, yes, I feel like a girl. And Barbara Walters saying, did you know boys can wear dresses? I am not a boy. And, like, that sort of thing. Barbara Walters is, like, a really famous evening... Like, 2020 was her show, and she was, like, really famous in North America for doing, like, hard-hitting, hour-long interviews, but also as part of, like, The View. So imagine, like, that kind of... And she's a journalist and news anchor and all of those things.
Cool.
Yeah.
Any more?
Well, there's one I want to mention, but it's, like... There's two I want to mention, but it's just self-serving. One is because it's one of my favorite authors, and it's Shannon McGuire, who wrote all of the Wayward Children books and has, like, a number of other pen names that she writes her horror under. And she's pansexual.
Aww.
And Tess Holliday.
Nice.
Who is a plus-size model, like, extra plus-size model. Like, she's the super size. Like, she's 28, 30 or so. And she identifies as pansexual, and she's gorgeous, and I kind of want to be Tess Holliday.
No.
She's covered in tattoos, and she's beautiful.
She is beautiful. You're
and
beautiful
she's pan.
Too.
Yes, but I'm just saying, like, when I think of people who look like me and who look like what I envision myself looking like, that doesn't include changing who I am. she's one of them. If I had an everyday makeup artist, I could also look like her. If I also had someone doing my hair every day, I could, because I don't want to look like her, like, not have my face. I mean, like, I want to be her glamorous pin-up self all the time.
Let's make it happen.
And I don't have the staff to do it.
We'll get the stuff.
But anyway.
Just need my breakthrough.
She's hot as fuck and I love her. Yeah.
Chat, do you know any pan celebrities that we've not mentioned? I don't know any. But like I say, my issue is not knowing celebrities.
I think that one of the other sort of notable pieces is that not a lot, but a handful of drag queens on RuPaul's Drag Race are pansexual or have come out as pan. And the reason I think that's notable is because I feel like there is an assumption made that all men doing drag are gay.
Mm-hmm.
And so the fact that some of them have very, like, publicly said, no, I'm pan, is, like, heightened representation that all genders and all sexualities do drag.
That is
We did mention Janelle Monáe. She was early in our list because that was one that came early that you remembered.
That I remembered, yeah. And they are hot also.
You know who else is pan, and it wouldn't be surprising at all? Brooke Candy. Of course she's pan. All she talks about is sex with everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we can't sing that. We can't sing that on air. Yeah. So, and I do think, like, one of the things that struck me, though, is that the list is predominantly, like, the named list is predominantly women or femme people.
Yeah.
And I think that there's still, because pansexuality can be viewed as a bit less soft, and because there is, a bit more soft, i.e. I just love people.
It's a bit more woo, right? Like, sorry.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking of all the people that have, I thought of someone. Oh, so I thought of someone who is like, you know, I thought of a couple. I just like people. It's a bit more like, yeah, it's a bit more like, I don't know, what's the word I'm looking for?
Well, because I think it's less, because I think it's much more about fluidity and nuance, and is like, if we look at what has historically been seen as the gender divide around women are feelings and men are logic and all of these things that are false dichotomies anyway, it fits more with the idea of, like, I just do what my heart says. Mm-hmm. And I mean, it can also be, I just do what my genitals tell me, but whatever. I'm
so happy you're here because you take all the things that, like, I think of up here but can't get out there, and you do it for me. I am not 100% sure, but I think Megan Thee Stallion is camp, I just like who I like. And I tell you who is definitely camp, I just like who I like, is Lizzo.
Yes, indeed.
Mm-hmm.
We also, we toyed about talking about, like, pan characters and decided not to. But I think that there are two notable mentions, and I want to bring them up because they're both men. One is David Rose from Schitt's Creek, and the other is Daredevil.
Who?
Ryan Reynolds, Daredevil. Isn't that who I'm thinking? Deadpool. There we go. Sorry. Other D. Deadpool. And there's been, like...
Loves the D.
And, like, Ryan Reynolds has, like, very publicly argued that Deadpool should be, like, in the movies pan. That, like... And not, like, you know, his essence is pan, but, like, there should be some playing out of
sticking it in everyone.
Or, like, because it's part of, like, that chaos tornado thing. That, like, it fits so well that, like, that he be able to, like, enact that in some way where, like, the homophobes can't say that's not really happening. Like, in a visible kind of way.
Yeah. Something chimichangas, something. Eating an eggplant chimichanga.
Oh, God.
On that note,
Yeah.
Chaos Tornadoes Unite.
But yeah,
We'll come up with a secret handshake, Cindy.
Yeah. But I do think that the fact that the list is light on men is also indicative of the rampant bi erasure that happens with men, where, for instance, like, Freddie Mercury was not gay.
Bowie?
Not gay.
Well, not straight.
Yeah, but what I mean is, we don't view, like, men are either one or the other.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think
No, but that's what I mean. But everyone was
Yeah.
just thought he was doing it, was stage gay.
Yes. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So I just think, which also makes me think that there is a dude who identifies as pansexual, but I left him off because he's problematic as fuck. But it's Brendan Urie from Panic at the Disco. Not a great representation.
Did that just me saying stage gay just remind you?
Yeah. I'm of a certain age. But yeah, anyway, I think that the fact that the list is light on men is evidence of the bi erasure that happens. And the fact that men are more seen as whoever they're fucking is what their sexuality is. If you're a little bit gay as a dude, you're a lot gay. You're only gay. It's just gay. Gay.
Gay.
Yeah.
Gay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But happy day for you.
Happy My Day. Happy Jinx Day. Happy Alicia Day. Who else was here?
I think in terms of the pan folks, but we have lots of other pan folks in the extended community, like Pancake Party, Jay.
Oh, we do. I need to read what's in front of me.
Yeah, that's fair.
Memory.
Party Squads,
Mm-hmm.
Thomas. I don't want to leave people out. I'm just
Cheesy.
Cheesy, absolutely. It's just that sometimes it's like object permanence, right? Again, You see who you see. But yeah, so that is, it's a wonderful, how do you feel? This is something I wanted to ask you, but you've been out as pan for a number of years.
It's a number of years already.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, we've been together 2.5 years. So it's been, at least 2.25 years.
Mm.
Liz wasn't quite out. Oh, there's another one. Alana Pierce.
What was the question? How do I feel about it?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's alright, isn't it?
Is it... Do you ever feel like it's complicated to explain? Does it feel like... She wasn't Monty. You know this better than anyone.
To be honest, I haven't had, So, if you don't know, I've recently started a new job. They know that I'm queer. They know that I have a female partner. They haven't asked what my sexuality is. I don't know if I'm surprised by that. I don't know why they haven't. But I don't know if I'm surprised by it. So I don't know if it's just does it fucking matter she's queer? Or if they don't know how to ask, or...
Do they feel like if it mattered to you, you'd tell them?
I don't know.
Does HR tell them not to ask?
I don't know.
See, I think that you...
Well, that's what I mean, Moni. It is private, and, that's what I mean. I'm not surprised that I haven't been asked, but also... I am surprised, just because... I am kind of surprised, just because the type of workplace that I'm in now, everyone is very chatty, everyone is very, friendly. Everyone seems to know lots about each other. It's another close-knit team.
that also doesn't seem to have a lot of barriers.
Yeah.
Not in like an offensive way, but in a very like people chat about their differences
Yeah.
in terms of sexuality and religion and different stuff, right?
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. So, I haven't been asked, so I haven't had to explain it to anyone. And I haven't been in a situation where anyone has asked, been interested enough to ask, needed
But
to ask.
I think also, and this is gonna sound funny, you're less in the office and you're less on calls every day and you haven't stuck stickers all over everything. And for you, a lot of your flagging is literally flagging. Sticking pan flags on shit.
Yeah, that's true.
And so you haven't stuck pride flags everywhere because at one point in our journey, there was a lot of I'm going to put my flag on my business.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it be your laptop or whatever. And you don't have any stickers on your new laptop. You don't have any patches on your...
They were subtle on my old stuff, though.
But subtle, yes, but still there. There's literally none.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now you've also separated your work and personal Twitter. And you've separated things, like there's been more of a differentiation. Your work self doesn't hold the keys to make it as okay to ask. Whereas I also think you came out while you were in your previous job.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was a moment of like, what's going on here? And your Twitter was combined and all of that. Okay, there's a lot of chat that I've missed.
Don't worry, they're talking about asking each other about porn over the coffee machine.
Okay, good. I just want to write porn about a coffee machine now.
Very, very true, Cindy. And to be clear, like, the reason why I don't have stickers all over my shit anymore isn't because I'm not proud. It's not because I don't fucking love stickers. This is an office where they don't put stickers on their tech, and
Yeah.
I want to put stickers on my shit. And yes, to be fair, lovely, lovely place. Like, they know I'm queer. They bought me a pink laptop bag because pink is the colour of this talk show. Like, but have they dug deep enough to know what my sexuality is? I mean, if you look at older episodes, you'll see Les next to Gem and Pan next to my name. I don't know how much they pay attention. That's true, they just need to listen to the start of one episode. Maybe that's why they haven't asked. Maybe they just watched it all before I joined.
I also
Sorry,
wonder...
I just touched your titty.
It's okay. I also, not to say like they don't care, but like if it's important to you, you'll talk about it.
Yeah.
And you call yourself queer. In your application to work at this place, you didn't call yourself pansexual, you called yourself queer. And that is enough of a label that you don't need a second one. Mm-hmm. So they might not...
It's not that they don't care, it's more...
Not
they don't mind.
Yes, and when I say don't care...
No. Yeah, I'm agreeing with you, yeah.
Yeah, no, what I'm saying, and that's what I'm clarifying, is like, I don't mean don't care as in, like, couldn't give a shit. It's, like, if you want to talk about it, I'm sure they would love talking about it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Like,
yeah,
good
and, yeah, I was very, very touched when a fight nearly broke out in the office because I got a cute pink laptop bag and everyone else has got, like, grey and black, and I think I've seen a blue one, like just a boring, like, dark blue one. And the boss, like the big boss, was like
the CEO.
I got her pink because it's the colour of her podcast. Well, very sweet.
Which is the sweetest thing.
Very, very sweet.
Yeah?
Yeah, maybe I should just put some pins on my laptop bag. Maybe.
Or your bag, like your work bag.
Yeah, I could get a patch, couldn't I? I've got some Velcro on it. I need to repair my bag. I need a new bag.
This is not a conversation for WHAQ. But yeah, anyway. Part of the reason I ask is because I always struggled when I was trying to explain polysexual because people didn't understand it. And
But I think more people know pansexual, right?
yeah, for sure, 100%.
Thanks, David Rose.
Yeah.
Yes, I should go to the office in my Chaos Tornado shirt. Oh, Lula, sorry.
That sucks. I am so sorry. It's fucking awful.
Let's fucking fight. Oh, yeah, Chaos Tornado is... I like it more on a mug than a shirt. Sorry, that was a very serious thing to talk over. We're sorry, Lula.
Yeah, that
She
sucks.
understands the ADHD, though. It's okay.
Yeah, I hear that. It is not done because you don't care. Yeah, that sucks. And, like, I think that in a world where sometimes it's hard enough to be queer, trying to explain that your nuances are valid and not just, like, more nonsense to these people is really fucking, like, it sucks. And it also requires level of vulnerability that, frankly, these people don't deserve from you.
And the level of spoons that you just don't want to fucking spend.
So, yeah. That fucking sucks, and you deserve better, and can we, like, start finding you a new fucking job? Because, honestly, you deserve to be somewhere that you are loved and appreciated as a whole being.
And I will, like, play along with any fantasy scenario you want in my DMs about, like, causing GBH.
Alright.
Alright.
So, in 2 weeks, we're coming up on Pride Month.
Whoop whoop!
So, we're
and
gonna...
then it's Wrath Month.
So, our next episode is June 7th. And I am actually going to be talking, it's my episode, and I believe that I'm going to be talking about the Stonewall riots and Marsha P. Johnson. Yay, Pride Month. And on that note, just wanted to note that today is the anniversary of Stonewall UK.
Oh, new follower. Where's the activity? Freak Dice Gaming, thank you for the follow.
Thank you. So I'm going to be talking about Stonewall riots. And today is actually the anniversary of Stonewall UK, which is an amazing queer organization here in the UK. And they are very trans inclusive. They support the whole umbrella. They're amazing. And they support with everything from legal stuff. And there's kind of like an organization that will link you to other places as well.
Good signposters.
A lot of like, and they're for the whole country, and they're very inclusive. They talk about all sorts of stuff from sexual health to legal stuff to housing to all of it. And in fact, they've been really helpful for Liz and I, because we are exploring parenting, and it's just complicated because there's a lot of stuff going on with me being Canadian, and what citizenship rights look like are dependent on who births you in this country. And there's complications there. And all of it's really complicated also because of what a donor situation would look like for us in fostering, and whether you can foster before you have indefinite leave to remain and all sorts of things, because we're looking at any road to parenting. We're just trying to understand the lay of the land. And they've been amazing. Yeah, they've been lovely. So it's amazing. So happy anniversary to Stonewall UK. Please keep existing, because it is so good to have a trans inclusive queer organization that does charitable work in the UK. So happy anniversary to you.
No, it sucks, Freak Dice. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it's, yep, we hear you, Freak Dice Gaming. We are engaged ourselves, and one of the things that we, and I am a Canadian living in the UK, and my ability to remain here is, predicated on Liz and I being in a legally binding relationship, and we just live in fear. Now, it's a different fear, obviously. The US and UK politics are not the same. But with that sort of like shift, we just live in fear that they're going to stop allowing queer people to have their partners here, because they've already started doing it with international students, and international students can no longer bring their families here. So stuff is happening, and I hear you, and it fucking sucks, and it's a lose-lose situation, but maybe also, hopefully, maybe a winning situation for you. But I hear you on, like, whatever we do, we feel like we are, like we just want to exist, and no matter what we do, it's going to put us in danger.
Yeah.
And that fucking sucks. So, big love to you. Please stick around. We're a really queer inclusive channel here. The next thing coming up is a Geek Herring podcast on Tuesday at 3 p.m. UK time.
Yep.
And then next Wednesday is the Crowded Tavern D&D actual play.
Yeah, so if you are new here, this isn't our channel. We stream independently. I am Get Lizzie With It. This is me. This is me in the channel here. And Games Mistress is about to also type too.
In theory.
Yeah, sorry, Moni. There's no bot. Oh my god, we could have shouted ourselves out. But we don't have shout outs either.
Yeah. So.
Oh, I tell you what we could do. We could do the Twitch shout out with the slash instead.
Oh, yeah. I always forget about those, even though I mod everywhere.
And we are streaming on Geek Herring, which is a community of different streamers, different productions, different shows. Hey, Aaron. Let me try and give myself one now, which feels a bit weird.
And then lots of the people, basically everyone here is queer inclusive. I say basically. Everyone in chat is queer inclusive. They are our friends, our community. And you can be a part of, like, really. And where we're going when we write out is also super queer inclusive. We only love
the quiz
and
the good allies.
And the good allies.
Yeah.
But we would never be a part of not a good supportive community.
And Moni has very kindly put the Discord link in for Geek Herring Productions too. Yeah. We are one big queer family.
So yeah, in 2 weeks we're going to talk about Stonewall and Marsha P. Johnson, and I'm going to talk about trans erasure as part of queer history. It's not going to be a trans exclusively focused episode because that is not my right as a cis person, but just about how the queer rights movement has always included trans people, and that's really important to me. Yeah. So glad you found us, Freak Dice Gaming, and hope that you find lots of love and community here. Stick around, and we'd love to chat. So, Cindy, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. And Jinx, you can catch the VOD, but we're glad you caught us too.
And also, I don't know that we said anything you haven't already heard us say.
Yeah, you've heard all the stories. You've heard all the stories. Right.
So we all know where we're going for a review of the PlayStation Showcase that is coming up for the gamer in all of us, or the want to be gamer in all of us. We don't have a bot, so we don't have a raid call.
Yeah, there should be. So GHP raid, that's mine.
No, there's no bot.
Wait, the bot isn't working.
Yeah.
Oh, fucking hell. Ben knows who we are
anyway. Just announce that we're here to whack you off. Yeah, see, money.
Here we go. The raid thingy is coming. Happy Pan Day. We're here to whack you off. Everyone copy that. We love you. See you soon. Stay tuned for the t-shirt store. Because we got... thank you, Erin. What a fucking legend. Because we've got plenty of t-shirts to produce.
Yeah.
See you in a fortnight. Hopefully you will see me tomorrow. and Gemma on Friday
Yes,
on our
indeed.
individual channels. And you're going to see Gemma on Saturday GMing for Roll for Good. You better fucking be there. Peace out. The countdown's going. Mwah. Bye.